Hey guys, we are going to be talking about my little palette station. I'll let you see just off the corner there. It's back there on top of those drawers. Every season I like to redo that station and just shop my stash and figure out what kinds of palettes are sort of inspiring me for the upcoming season. Sometimes it's palettes that I feel really fall in line with the season, and other times I'll just be looking through my collection and be like, oh yeah, I need to use this one more, or I'm just generally drawn to this or that. I think you'll notice a bit of a theme going on where it's soft colors, it's soft neutrals, a few more bold pops, but yeah, it feels like spring, and I'm talking eye palettes here. I do have some full face palettes that kind of always live right over here, additional face palettes or blush palettes that live elsewhere, but this is really catering to the eye collection. And I will let you know first what my face of the day is, because I have one of those palettes out here. I've got kind of a bronzy look going on. I'm not sure if you can tell, but there's a little bit of bronze here, and I used my L'Oreal Lumi Glotion. This is in the Deep Glow, and I remembered how I loved the combo of that plus the True Match Nude Hyaluronic Tinted Serum. So this is in Light 2-3. The combo of these products, like, I already love the coverage level here. The staying power with this product is excellent, and this just adds a little extra glow, a little more bronze. I know they wear well together all day. Stuck with L'Oreal for my concealer. It's the Infallible Full Wear. Shade is Ivory. It's all the coverage I could need up on the under eye, around the nose. Not an especially hydrating concealer, but definitely one of those fullest coverage options at the drugstore. Did some setting with the Coty Airspun Loose Powder, and then I used my little MCO Beauty. I use this one more like all over the face and this directly on the under eye and T-zone. But this is their Miracle Flawless Pressed Powder, sort of that Charlotte Tilbury dupe. I feel like it's not quite as buttery and luxuriously creamy as the Charlotte Tilbury, but it kind of reminds me more of Rimmel Stay Matte, which I'm fine with that. My blush and bronzer combo today, I use my CoverGirl True Blend Skin Enhancer. This is Caramel Truffle on the bronzer, in case you haven't seen this. It's a beautifully marbled powder there. I feel like it goes on with nice pigment, but it's not overwhelmingly dark. And then for the Baked Luminous blush, I'm using my Rose Latte shade. Very subtle. It does offer a gentle glow, soft color, and then I added to the glow just a little bit. Do you see a real soft thing kind of popping off on the cheeks? I pulled out my Morphe Cloud Light Soft Glow Veil. This is in the shade Dawn. I believe it's the lightest one of these they make. This could be like an all-over face powder, think kind of like Hourglass Ambient Lighting Powder, but this shade has a little bit of glowiness to it, and I just kind of popped it on the tops of the cheeks. Brow look today is the Morphe Micro Brow Pencil in Java, and then the Micro Manager Gripping Brow Gel, also from Morphe. e.l.f. Lock It Down Eye Primer, and then this is my Sigma Core de Rosa palette, which I didn't realize they're still selling this at Ulta, and this really screams spring and summer to me, even a little bit fall as well with some of that warmth. There's some really pretty richness embedded in this palette with the dark brown and also that berry. So I decided to play with that today. I've got some warmth in the crease. As you can see, I used, some of these two shades in my crease. Actually, a little bit of the berry softly on the outer part of my eyelid, and then going inward on the lid, it's this shade and some of this, which is kind of like a fine shimmer glaze. Really an upper eye focused look. I didn't go down beneath except with e.l.f. Lash Extender Mascara. For eyeliner, I went with a liquid brown. This is from ABH, and the shade is, I believe, just brown. Just a fine dark brown, bit of definition there, and then Laura Geller Kajal Longwear Mascara. I really do like this mascara. It builds great length, and I've got that just on the upper. Like I said, the e.l.f. Lash Extender on the lower. That's a tubing mascara. And then my lips. This little Burt's Bees lip tint thing. I'll have to pop up what the exact name of this product is. The shade name is Misty Mauve. It's got that hydrating core, and this is probably like 95% of the color that's on my lips right now. It's super moisturizing. The color is somewhat buildable, and then I gave myself a little extra definition with the Catrice Plumping Lip Liner in Cheers to Life, but there's really not much of this on my lips. And I got that in like a little 2-pack. There's another one that's basically straight lip balm, but this one is a super pretty everyday shade. Okay, now this is my spring palette station. This is just kind of what the background is looking like now. Smaller palettes, larger palettes, like I said, some that absolutely scream as spring, and then others that maybe I just was browsing my collection and thought, I think I want to use that a little bit more. This is Southern Spring from Sydney Grace, and I will always love that combination of shades, the greens, the mauvey colors, rich berry plum. I love that. The Dreamy Daisy from Lawless had been in this little station for a while, and it's staying there. I want to use it more. This was their holiday palette from this past year, and it just has an overall rosiness to it. It just makes me think springtime. I pulled in a couple of different palettes from Viseart. One is the Dark Edit, and you might think, that's a little intense for spring, but I feel like this is the splash of color that I really want to be thinking about, because look at the shimmers there. They're rather bright and bold, and they're going to be anchored by some of these deep shades, and I feel like this is going to draw me into some springtime color, and I'm going to really enjoy it. I also grabbed out the Fleurette Amour palette. So this is one of their little eye and face combos, and I just thought, yeah, if I'm in a lilac kind of mood, I can really nicely coordinate blush to eyes. Somebody watching one of my videos recently said, do you know about the mushroom palette from the Balm, the Fun Guy palette? And I'm like, yeah, I actually have that. It's really underused for me. Immediately, it does make me think fall a bit, but I could see me having some real everyday fun with this guy. So super cute, and you can expect to see some looks with that. I felt like pulling in the Viseart Paris Nude palette. This really feels like delicate color to me. Nothing's too dark. Everything has soft shimmer. I feel like this is loaded with workable one shadow looks, but just like the little bit of sort of dusty periwinkle going on in there. I feel like this could make some beautiful looks. It's definitely an underused palette in my stash, and I believe the way Viseart is selling this now, it's more like their little downsized wraparound palettes. That's the way it would look if you bought it today, but the colors in it remain the same. From Morphe, this one kind of makes me think of the spring storms and the lightning. This is the one called Electric Current, and yeah, ushering in a pop of color here. We've got purples, we've got kind of a fuchsia magenta thing happening, but also some kind of soft, I don't know if the camera's making it look kind of darker than it is on that soft peach and pink right over there, but I could see me doing some enjoyable spring looks with this. Essence Bloom Baby Bloom. I'm not sure if they still make this one, but this is a brilliant little eye and face palette. It does have the mirror up top, and then basically an eyeshadow quad plus highlighter, blush, and bronzer. Actually a really well-rounded little palette here, and I thought just for the looks, that would look pretty in my collection up here. I pulled out Urban Decay Naked Shaped because I feel like I really have not used this enough. This wasn't like my favorite palette ever, but I thought, it deserves more use, and I know I can do some looks that I could enjoy here. The core of shades in the circle are actually creams, and then we've got powders, mix of matte and shimmer on the outsides. Sydney Grace, you knew I wasn't just pulling in one Sydney Grace palette into this collection, and this is my Desert Bloom, and I so love the mix of shades here. I really am excited to do some looks that involve navy blue, and I think what will spring it up a lot is navy blue hand in hand with some of the warmth that this palette offers. That Salt Flats shade, Tumbleweed Trail, Desert Bloom, using some of those as lid and crease colors and then popping the outer corner with one of these, I think is going to be a really great look. Natasha Denona Retro Glam. I've said it before, I'll say it again. This palette reminds me of like a grandma's bathroom maybe, but it's really a unique grouping of shades. And honestly, sometimes I get it in my head that this is a really light pastel palette, but look at all the depth that you have for balance in here. I really think I can create some good looks with this if I just remember to pull it out. And so that's why it's out here in this little station. I just showed you Sigma Corday Rosa, which is part of my look today, but I absolutely adored this palette for a time, and it feels good to be getting it back out again. This is Danessa Myricks Groundwork Blooming Romance palette. What you get in here is a mix of creams and powders. So the larger pans are creams, and then there's like a coordinating powder right beside it in the skinnier pan. This can be a really fun multitasking palette to work with. Lips, cheeks, eyes. You can create some super cohesive looks here. But sometimes it just doesn't even pop into my head that I have this, I'm thinking eye palette, and it's just not the first thing that comes to mind. So now's your time, Danessa. This palette is truly gorgeous and amazing quality. You know what? This one's just standing standing up here in the back. I'm gonna leave it there. This is Profusion Nude Bliss. I know they have switched over to like that clear outer packaging now. It's a little less bulky, but this is what I continue to have, and I believe it's the exact same shades inside, but actually a really great balance of light, medium, and dark here. You do have some fun, shimmery, even glittery pops that I think I'm gonna have a good time with. You know, it's springtime, let's pull that out. I continue to have this palette in my station. This was the Sephora holiday palette from this past holiday season. And check this out. I mean, is this not a palette for all seasons? It makes me think winter. It makes me think fall. I'm seeing the springiness with some of these softer pops. Also the green effect right down there. The quality of Sephora collection eyeshadows is so totally there. I mean, Sephora collection, Ulta Beauty collection, these store brands are doing amazing eyeshadows. Last and certainly not least, we have the ABH Primrose palette here. I love this palette for a long, long time. I'm talking years. I'm talking going back to the other house. I remember discussing a little quad from Bare Minerals, and it had the most beautiful combination of peach and plum. And then I felt like that combo made its way back to me in this palette. Look at these 10 eyeshadows here and how we have peachy elements, we have plum. That is such a flattering combo. I'm not always so gaga about grapefruit and saddle as blush colors, but they can work, you know. They can even work as extra eyeshadows, but the real deal for me is the shadow here. Amazing quality. They're still selling this palette, so if you haven't had a chance to get it yet, here's your little reminder. Oh my gosh, you guys, I was editing my video, and my clips about a couple of these palettes, I apparently, like, since I'm doing this on my phone over here in this area, I apparently swiped my finger to slow motion mode, and I just had this really slow description of the palette, like even slower than that. And I'm like, what in the world? It was only 2 of the palettes, so I decided to come back up here and I'm gonna retell you about those. 2 other palettes in here, the Everyday Faves from the Ulta Beauty collection. I absolutely love this formula. This palette makes me want to try more from this line, and you guys have told me some of the others that are good too, but the mattes are great, the shimmers are great. It kind of reminds me of like my Persona eyeshadow palettes. There's a real creaminess there, almost a Sydney Grace-ish vibe. Really exceptional quality, and these shades are just so like always workable with absolutely any look. So I think that's part of why it's also been so enjoyable, is that it just never clashes with anything. And then the other one that I slow-moed myself on was the NYX Ultimate Vintage Jean Baby palette. I really enjoy the way this one is put together because they did a great job of giving us some fun and kind of unique pops. Look at the matte dusty blue, the matte sky blue. Those are fun. The navy, that's great. We've got some shimmer in here to play with too, but it's also rooted in shades that could not be more basic and just comfort zone for a lot of people. So I think this palette really takes blue and makes it extremely approachable and wearable for anybody who's been apprehensive about that. I know I've done past videos using this, but it's something I'm excited to pull out for spring. Got everything put back. I'm not sure if it was exactly the way I had it before, but it kind of helped to stand over here and talk about them as opposed to pull everything out and talk about it in front of my other camera setup. Everything always gets so jumbled when I do that, but I love the way this looks. This really does make me think spring. I fully believe that makeup is pretty and it can be truly part of your decor. So I really look forward to doing this every season. So thank you guys so much for being here and watching this video, and I will see you again very soon. I love you. Bye.